There's a specific feeling almost everyone has had. You're alone, doing nothing in particular, when a quiet certainty creeps over you. Someone is watching, you can't see them, you have no proof, but your body is already reacting, heart rate climbing, attention locking in, the back of your neck beginning to prickle. That feeling is astonishingly powerful. And it turns out it's not a glitch. It's a clue about what your ancestors were terrified of every single night. So here's the strange part. Why would your brain manufacture a vivid physical sense of being watched? Fear, alertness, the sudden urge to spin around, and all of it firing when there is often nobody there at all. Why build an alarm that screams at nothing? The answer isn't paranoia. It's one of the oldest and most critical systems your mind has ever run. And to understand it, you have to go back to a world where a pair of eyes in the dark was the last thing many humans ever saw. For most of human history, the night did not belong to us. There was no electricity, no locked doors, no walls between you and whatever was lurking out there. The world beyond the firelight was packed with things that hunted. Lions, leopards, snakes coiled silently in the grass. And every single one of them had something in common. They watched their prey before they struck. A predator doesn't charge blindly. It fixes on a target. It stares. For an early human, the moment a hidden animal locked eyes on you was the moment your life balanced on a knife's edge, which means survival came down to one very specific skill, noticing eyes. And humans became extraordinarily good at it. Your brain has dedicated machinery purely for finding eyes. A face looking straight at you grabs your attention and holds it, whether you want it to or not. You don't decide to notice a stare. Your visual system flags it automatically before conscious thought even begins. And this isn't something you learn. Newborn babies, only days old, already prefer a face that's gazing back at them. There's even a clue written directly into your own body. Look at the eyes of most other animals, and dark coloring conceals exactly where they're pointing. The human eye is different. Ours is uniformly white, the direction of the gaze almost impossible to disguise. Scientists still debate why our eyes ended up this exposed, but the result is impossible to ignore. You are unusually easy to read, a creature built to watch and to be watched. In fact, your eye detector is so hungry that it finds eyes that were never there. 2 dots and a curve become a face. You see them in the grill of a car and a power outlet, in the craters of the moon, in the shifting shadows of a dark bedroom. And it doesn't stop at eyes. In experiments, people spot simple shapes that merely point toward them faster than shapes pointing away. Anything that seems aimed in your direction gets flagged immediately. Ask questions later, but detecting a real pair of eyes is one thing. That isn't the mystery. The mystery is the feeling that shows up when absolutely nothing is there. Why does the alarm fire into an empty room? The answer comes down to a brutal piece of evolutionary math. Picture 2 early humans standing at the edge of a dark forest. The first feels a flicker of being watched, turns around and sees nothing, mildly embarrassing. A few seconds wasted. The second feels the exact same flicker and ignores it. Most of the time, that human is also completely fine, but every so often, there really is something hidden in the trees. And for the one who ignored it, there are no second chances. The cost of those 2 mistakes was wildly unequal. A false alarm cost you almost nothing. A misalarm cost you everything. So evolution made the only choice that made sense. It built a system that fires too often on purpose. Your sense of being watched was never designed for accuracy. It was designed for survival. It would rather terrify you 1,000 times for nothing than stay silent the one time it truly matters. That prickle on your neck isn't a malfunction, it's a smoke detector, loud, oversensitive, and devastatingly good at keeping you alive. And here's where it gets genuinely fascinating, because predators are only half the story. The most dangerous thing watching an early human often wasn't an animal at all, it was another human. For most of human history, you lived your entire life inside a tiny group, 20, maybe 50 people, who knew absolutely everything about you. In that world, being watched wasn't just about getting eaten. It was about being judged. Were you generous after a hunt? Did you pull your weight? Could you actually be trusted? Reputation wasn't a luxury. It determined whether the group kept you, fed you, protected you, or cast you out. And in the ancient world, exile was a slow and quiet death sentence. So humans evolved to care deeply and almost obsessively about being observed. We track each other constantly, and some part of us is always running the same silent question. Who is watching me right now, and what do they think? You can see this wiring at work in a famous and slightly unsettling experiment. Researchers placed a picture of eyes above an honesty box, and people pay for their coffee far more consistently. Other studies found that simply printing eyes nearby can reduce littering. and still something ancient and automatic inside us responds. The mere suggestion of being watched can alter how we behave. This is why being watched doesn't just feel like danger, it feels like exposure, like pressure, like every single move you make is suddenly being graded. But here's the strangest part of everything. The system cannot distinguish real lies from fake ones, and once you truly understand that, the ordinary world starts to look completely different. A portrait whose eyes seem to track you across a room, the cold, unblinking lens of a security camera, two headlights cutting through the dark, the vivid patterns on a butterfly's wings, the striking eyes on a peacock's feathers. Animals are hardwired to freeze at the sight of eyes. Your ancient alarm responds to all of it. Anything shaped like eyes and pointed directly at you was almost certainly a threat, which leaves you with a problem your ancestors never once had to face. You now live in a world saturated with eyes, cameras on every corner, faces on every screen, crowds and comment sections and endless feeds, an invisible audience that genuinely never sleeps. A system is now running at full power almost all of the time, and that constant low hum of self-consciousness, that nagging sense of being perceived even when you are completely alone, it may be nothing more than an ancient survival instinct